Welcome to this public discussion as we discuss matters Kenyan education system. Remember, you can send in your views and contributions to this discussion on our comment section. I am your host, Patricia Toko. Today, I want us to talk about our education system. In this, I want us to base this argument to the Kenyan education system. And in all these stages, I know most of you, if not all, have experienced the hitches that comes with being in an education environment. So today on set, let's discuss the education systems around us. First, let me elaborate that education doesn't start when one joins a physical school or a physically existing education environment. Education starts when one is born and our parents start giving us the basics to life. These are things to do with the uttering words, walking, addressing people, or even existing in different environments in our lives. Basing this argument to the Kenyan context, last year there was blue in our education system, and this was highly displayed by the shortage of students who actually managed to join the university. With this, I'm not talking about performance, but the economic expense that comes along with joining some of our universities. Most of these students actually passed their exams, but they did not have enough money to allow them join some of these prestigious universities in the country. Basing this argument on a research I read from Google is that last year most of the students who qualified to join the university did not actually physically report to this institution. This is because the economic responsibility that's tied to joining universities has been too much as compared to the earnings and incomes of normal citizens. Hence, universities are slowly tending to be areas and environments of people who are economically blessed. For example, last week, students have been joining a secondary school, and a good number of them were not able to join school. This is because the economic responsibility for joining high school is too much as compared to what their parents can offer. For example, we've had claims of institutions that make students buy uniforms from a particular shop and they do not allow them to get the uniforms from other cheaper places. You hear these places giving high cost for uniforms. For example, you'd hear 2 sets of uniforms going for up to 25,000, while these are commodities that the parents can actually get from just a neighbor tailor who can be able to deliver the quality of uniform at a more cheaper price. Remember, these schools insist on quality and uniformity among all students, but I stand to ask, is it that the parents cannot be able to acquire these commodities from other institutions of areas at a cheaper price? Why don't some of these institutions actually make it parents' decisions to decide to where to source some of these commodities? Some institutions have also made it a mandatory for the students to acquire these items from the school. And on reporting, when you do the calculation of the amount of money required for a student to actually just join Form 1 is almost 2 times the normal school fees we pay at the University of Nairobi. Every day, the number of students who are actually out here calling for help for purposes of education is going high every day. And this has made our education levels and institutions become shattered a little bit. Some institutions are slowly turning to be institutions for only the rich and the prestigious. And you'll notice this puts away children who come from the normal or the low-income families. Standards have come in and everyone is out there running for themselves. Everyone is calling out for good that favors only them. But again, I stand to ask, who do you think carries the fault of this in the country? I remember when I was a Form 4, a good number of the friends that I actually graduated from high school with were not able to get their results in time. This is because most of them had fee arrears, and by then, the system required us to clear our balances for us to be able to get the certificates. Most of them actually did not manage to extend their education because remember, for you to go to the next level, you have to show proof that you were in the previous level. I thank the government because that was actually aided and some of these students have been able to proceed with their lives meaningfully. Onwards, debates were there where the 844 system was highly criticized by the participants, and the government actually resolved to take up a new form of education, and that's the CBC. Giving my views on the newly adopted education system, I can't say CBC is here to help us, but I also understand claims that are being put forward by parents that CBC is actually too expensive as it is compared to the 844 system. With this, I want to insist on everyone to actually look at the quality before they come to quantity. We've also experienced an increase in the number of students from Kenya who actually source other forms of education outside the country. But does this mean that the educational system in Kenya is too insufficient to actually accommodate all of us? We've also experienced an increase in the number of students from Kenya who actually source other forms of education outside the country. But does this mean that the educational system in Kenya is too insufficient to actually accommodate all of us? You've also noticed that a good number of the high-grade students actually get poached by other countries. Here someone has concluded their PhD and they already have a job offer in the US. Does this mean that our system cannot actually absorb these elites? I don't want to make any unprofessional conclusion to this discussion, but I just have one question that I would love to ask all the shareholders in our education system. Is there a time that we'll experience changes that will be able to accommodate all the elites that the country produces? Will there come a chance that the students will be able to exercise their career knowledge? Will the cost of education come down, or will it keep going high day by day? And finally, what is this that other governments are actually doing that we as a country cannot be able to adapt to? I am also worried by the number of professionals out here who are excellent students but up to now have not been able to acquire a slot in any office or working institution that is related to their career despite them going through all their career requirements and education. Kenya is a very productive land, and I call upon the government and all the stakeholders to actually make attempts and moves to revamp the education system. As I bring this beauty class to a conclusion, I want to urge all the Kenyans out there not to actually give up on our education system and understand that Kenya has excellent people, Kenya has professionals that need to be nurtured, and Kenya can become the next big thing in the world. I also want to take this opportunity to urge all the young students who are out there in school to pull up their socks, work hard, and come and put a relief to our education system that is slowly looking as if it is getting dimmed. As I bring this discussion to a conclusion, I want to thank all the stakeholders that have taken part into building me into who I am today. I have been your host, Patricia Duku, and until next time do us meet, have an awesome week.